Hello, everybody, and welcome to Norm, the Cheers podcast that isn't. I'm Mike. We got Tookie. We got Dave. We do not have Steve Nash. We're just like the Brooklyn Nets. We do not have Steve Nash.
So glad I can go back to loving Steve Nash unequivocally now.
It's good. It's good. I can't believe the dumpster fire that the Brooklyn Nets have become since we've last recorded an episode. We do this weekly. Good Lord. And to fix everything, within the last 5 minutes, Shams Charania has reported, and by the time this airs, it's probably going to be a done deal. The Nets' leading candidate to replace Steve Nash, all-around good guy who somehow could not raise the Q rating of the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to replace him with Ime Udoka. Because what's going to take the attention off of Kyrie more than a guy suspended for a year for a sex scandal we still don't know all the details to? Oh, Brooklyn, what are you doing?
Like, I feel so hard for NBA reporters that have to go into that interview room for the next 6 months.
Okay, so if they do hire Ime, do we get the details of what happened at that point?
I'm conflicted about that because I love Nia Long. She's a Black All-Star.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't deserve this.
Mm-mm.
But the public needs to know so we can adequately shame him.
And that's where I'm at. There's this part of me too that's like, as a sports fan, I don't know what is our responsibility to know. But at the same time, if you're a fan and your coach is going to be this guy and you want to root for this team, do you feel good about rooting for it when you don't totally know what happened? I mean, he willingly took a year suspension, didn't fight it. Matt Barnes is on Instagram going, dude, this is bad. We still don't know. And you're a Brooklyn fan trying to ignore the anti-Semitism craziness of Kyrie, Kevin Durant, who hasn't smiled in 8 years, I think.
Hasn't
trying to push past all of this. Ben Simmons is the most likable member of the Brooklyn Nets currently. Ben Simmons. That's where we're at.
Let's not forget about Seth Curry's goofy stoned older brother.
Wow.
That's a delightful looking human. That's if Seth Curry was and Shaggy had a baby.
Well, no, Kevin Durant has not smiled, showered, or lotioned in at least a decade, I think.
Is there something about Kevin Durant showering and lotioning that I was unaware of?
Yes.
Oh.
We're all concerned.
My goodness.
He hasn't brushed his hair or lotioned. The level of ash on Kevin Durant is concerning to the Black community. Speaking on our behalf.
All right. Is this going to be the Tookie Kavanaugh segment of this conversation?
No, I'm just,
Yep.
we're worried. We're worried.
All right.
It's incredibly bold of you not only to come out here and serve as the spokesperson for that community, but raising awareness among Caucasians is so important.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And I respect it so much, I have no further comment.
Thank you.
I can't. And okay, so if Ime goes to Brooklyn, does Boston start leaking what happened now that they're out from under it? Does Ime start leaking stuff now that he has a job to try to get ahead of things? Because it seemed like that's what Ime's camp did at first. The initial reports were a consensual relationship with just an employee of the thing, and then it started getting worse. It feels like Ime got the first info out there, and then there was counter. And then they both realized it was going to be bad, and then you heard nothing. And I feel like that's going to be maybe the pattern again. Something's going to come out.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm more concerned for Nia and how she and her two sons are doing.
I know.
Because Ime is dead to me.
Yeah.
He took us all the way to the championship. I may hate him less if we got the W.
A ring would help.
A ring would take the edge off of this situation. It would take the edge off, but unforgivable. Unforgivable.
If no one learns anything else from anything that has happened here, know this. If you've been engaged for more than 5 years, you're not getting married. It's time to end things. You're all done. All done. Move on. Move forward. You deserve better.
Much wisdom in that.
Yep. I feel like as I look at this now, Nia knew something. Nia knew. I feel like it was Nia not closing this. Nia had a weird vibe. And she's like, you know what? Let's not make this legal yet. I think.
Respect, if true.
I think. All right. Speaking of weirdness.
But wait.
Yes.
We didn't get to the Tom and Giselle saga.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah. So, man, it's been quite a week. Yeah, Tom and Giselle, like, they didn't just announce they're divorcing. They announced they were divorced.
Yeah.
Page 6 had them getting divorce lawyers. They're divorced.
They're done.
That was so fast.
That's
like, you go back on their Instagram page. So that was where they announced everything. So you look at their Instagram page, and like 3 months ago, it's still like, go Tampa Bay. We love you so much. You're going to be like, it seems like a couple that's still together. And now they're not even negotiating and we're done.
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 Tom Brady's Twitter was a dead giveaway too. Like, I'm not laughing at his misfortune, but a month ago it said football and family. And then 2 weeks after that, it just said football. And I cackled.
Oh, did it? I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a real dark night of the soul, TB12. That's a tough time on the old toilet.
His bio, man.
Looking at the old Twitter bio. Like, I better edit this, son of a gun.
All right. Edit button.
Yeah, but now people are like, oh, well, Giselle's about to start dating Pete Davidson. You know, which...
I don't get Pete.
I don't either, but good for him.
Good for him. And if he makes, I will say this, like, after it all ends, the ladies he's been with seem to be like, God bless you. Like, it doesn't seem toxic afterwards. So Pete's doing some stuff right.
Yeah.
Pete's doing some stuff right. It's a place you don't want to live, but it's apparently a good visit.
As they say.
Yep. And there you are. But yeah, you look back in that month-long retirement and him just spending that time and going, you know what? Nope. Love football more than you guys. I got to go back. I have to play one more season at 45 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have to do this.
45 is still young, but it's definitely geriatric in football years.
In football, it's ancient.
Yeah. He's Methuselah. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
There's something, I don't know, but there's something in Tom that will not let him stop playing football.
He can't Michael Jordan himself. Because we actively try to erase the Washington Wizards era.
And it's interesting because I don't totally know how to feel about this. There's the part of me that is going, the Michael Jordan Washington Wizards era, fine. He had to get it out of his system. Play as long as you can. I think there's an argument to be made for play as long as you can, because once it's over as a professional athlete, you don't get to do it again. You're never going to get back. So I understand, like, I've never begrudged Willie Mays stumbling around second base for the Mets. He wanted to get every bit of baseball he could out of it. Jim Bouton playing in Portland, do what you got to do. But there is something to be said for your partner saying, you've got to be a part of our family more. Football cannot be this important to you. I think there's an argument. Somebody on Facebook tried to make the argument of, if Serena Williams' husband said you need to quit or I'm going to divorce you, we would be up in arms. And it's like, I'm not sure about that. I mean, if a couple splits up simply because one of them, because I'm not even judging one of them that harshly, but if one of you is saying, look, this is like professional sports means you are too small a part of our family, and I don't want to be alone in this relationship anymore, and I'm now convinced that we're not going to be here, then you're just saying we can't live together anymore. And I look at Tom and Giselle, and I would not make that choice if I were Tom. But maybe that's why I left LA and just moved back and, did murder mysteries in a basement for 7 years because I just didn't love it that much. I didn't want it enough. I don't know. Maybe it's that rare mindset that allows him to be the greatest of all time that we'll never totally understand. And if you don't have that, you're not as great as he is. If you can't look at it and say, this is what I absolutely have to do and I don't have any other life choice. Do you need that? I don't know. Yeah, it's not in my DNA, but maybe that is what it takes to be the greatest of all time at something. And maybe that's why so many people who are the greatest are never especially happy human beings.
I don't know. Dave, yeah. What were you saying?
It just seems like some of that stuff is just hardwired, like for people like Brady and Jordan. Like there's this complete and total inability to step away, even when the cost is maybe like a year or two at the end of a career. Like, yeah, it is. Like, I think about guys like Garnett who step away and seem happy, but that was also a guy who was never like trying to. I never felt like Garnett wanted to be the best player in the world. He just wanted to be the best player he could be on a good team. Though, yeah, I guess I tend to get drawn to those guys because there is like this level of like ability to sort of see a larger picture, which is I always find so kind of admirable, and I find the tunnel vision of the truly driven to be a little bit terrifying. Yeah, in pretty much every aspect of life, not just sports.
Yeah. And it's true, but is that something that is necessary to be the greatest of all at something? When you consider that, if you want to be the best of the 7 billion people in existence, what do you have to give up for that?
Like we were talking about Gary Hart, because of his guest shot a couple of weeks ago. And that to me, that's a guy who at some point like looked around and said, I don't need this. I don't need to be the leader of the free world. I am going to, and I obviously he was, kind of shut out of the 88 run because of the sort of manufactured scandal, but there was a life after that, and he made other choices and seemed to be happy in those choices. And the irony is probably like those are the kind of people that should be running the country, are people that would comfortably walk away from it.
Yeah.
And Kevin Garnett, it's something about the greatest at what they do. Kevin Garnett, I love. He was such a great player. He was an MVP once. There's never a time where you looked at Kevin Garnett and said, that's the best player in the NBA. And even like his famous story about, getting taught a lesson by Jordan, which if you have not seen it, you need to look up. It's one of the great stories of all time, where he was young and started trash talking Jordan, and Jordan just destroyed him. Yeah, and I think it was J.R. Ryder who was trying to tell Garnett to shut up when he started trash talking. Yes, yeah, you have to look it up. It's one of the great KG stories of all time. But Garnett knew he wasn't the greatest, and he wrung everything out of his body he could. At the end, there was no part of you going, both times Jordan walked away before the end, he was still the best in the league. There was almost a part of you going, he's stepping down again for lack of a challenge. And the age and the distance was the challenge that he needed. He was so clearly the best. There was like, this isn't what I need. I need to challenge myself in some other way. Garnett was never that guy. The Jordans, the Bradys, there's something different about them. They're weird.
I've heard Brady is a weird dude, allegedly.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be to give up the part and to hear the stories about the TB12 method and going to sleep at 8 o'clock and the avocado ice cream and all of it. Like what he has done and what it requires. What do you think it's like to live with Tom Brady? That's got to be hard.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Just, ugh.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I gotta tell you, I don't always like to take the teams, but if I'm on anybody's team, and I say this as someone who has been given so much joy from Tom Brady over the last 21 years, I'm Team Giselle. I think she's done a ton for that relationship. I honestly don't know that I could get past the ice cream part of it. For her to do that and everything else, I have a hard time finding fault with Gigi.
To be fair, she's a now retired Victoria's Secret model, and they go through their own kinds of extremes.
Mm-hmm. She wasn't full time once they got together anymore. I mean, when they got together, she was already, I'm taking the jobs that I want, and I have $100 million in the bank. I feel like, and as someone who I feel like is, so experienced in the world of fashion modeling and beauty, I think I am qualified to say she was at a transitional point in her career where she wasn't asking as much of the family as Tom was.
Okay.
In my experience. On one quick fashion note, and I swear to God, we're going to talk about Cheers very soon. I saw Lost in Translation again for the first time a few days ago. Felt weird this time. He's a fashion photographer, and that's just what made it pop in my head. But I watched it this time, and I was like, I remember loving this movie.
The Bill Murray thing?
Yeah, Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson.
I never saw it in full. He's a fashion photographer in that?
No, he's a fading Hollywood action star. She's married to a fashion photographer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird movie. Anyway, total side note, and not worth talking about. That's a weird alley to go down. But you know what is worth talking about? Cheers, season 5, episode 5, House of Horrors with formal dining room and used brick. This is the weirdest title of an episode of Cheers that we have had. It's impossibly long. I did not dislike this episode. I did not dislike it. There were laughs. I enjoyed it. I will say I found myself picking more nits in this episode than almost any other episode I have ever seen. I was just like, wait a minute, hang on. Her house is the only house this plane goes over? And it's by the airport. It's referenced that it's by the airport. And somehow it's a revelation that an airplane goes by this house.
I mean, you'd think it would have happened at some point during the inspection process, during the site visit. You would have noticed at some point.
Don't you think? And why is it so special that it's the 17th century graveyard? Were the prisoners in the 1600s worse? I don't understand why that kept getting referenced. It was very weird. And why is this neighborhood some kind of great neighborhood if it's right next to the airport? The whole neighborhood is by the airport. An airport's not small. This whole neighborhood is the neighborhood.
Oh, Tookie, you're muted somehow.
Am I here now?
Yes, you're back.
Okay. I can't speak to the rest of the neighborhood, but I can, in defense of 17th century ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
I used to work at a certain outfitter of urban apparel, particularly the one in Harvard Square, and that it was built over a tavern that used to house like revolutionary, which I know, different century, 18th century, Revolutionary War soldiers, but it had been in existence for forever, since the 1600s. And I have had encounters with the basement ghost because it was a tavern / imprisonment place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Those are a thing. Those exist. And for some reason, they're real ornery.
I'll take your word for it. Uh, if you say 17th century ghosts are somehow a notch above, if they're the Karens of the ghost world, I will accept that explanation.
They didn't have much to do back then. So, except,
Bless you.
Thank you. It's true.
That was a brief moment of possession.
Yeah. Those ghosts didn't have my pardon my sinus infection, everyone.
Oh boy.
I know the weather changes and it's all fakakta from there. So I'm just saying 17th and 18th century ghosts were real dickheads. As which I can attest to from having an encounter with a certain basement ghost.
Okay.
I will say, as someone who's currently teaching a theater history class, for whatever reason, the phrase 16th century is the closest century to ours that still feels absolutely distant. Like if you say 17th, 18th century, I'm like, all right, I can see the line, I can see the connections, I can track like where we are now based on what happened then. Once we get to the 16th, like for me, that's like the era of mystery. So that for me, that designation kind of worked.
So if we ever like develop time travel and we really need to flummox Dave.
1699, I'll be lost.
There you go. That's the line. That's the line.
1701, I'm good. I got a map. I can take you all around. 1698, forget it. I'm a ghost and I've been murdered.
All right. Speaking of the past, Dave, what was happening in the past when episode 5 premiered?
Well, this premiered. We have a nice little bit of good fortune. October 30th, 1986. We've got our Halloween episode on Halloween, on our first post-Halloween norm. The episode references Poltergeist a number of times, so I thought it'd be nice to go and look at the box office for films released in October of 1986. A pretty good certainly a pretty great or pretty memorable top 5. Number 1, of course, The Color of Money. Perhaps the most enduring film from this month. Number 2, Peggy Sue Got Married, Kathleen Turner and Coppola, romantic comedy, time travel, speaking of drama.
Never saw that one.
No one actually has, but it launched the career of Nicolas Cage. So it's no.
I remember Peggy Sue got married as the movie all my teachers wanted to see when I was a kid.
Yeah, I agreed. It was, I think it was a little unique for its time because it was starring even then like kind of like Kathleen Turner was sort of like and viewed as more of an older a Hollywood actor, like a sort of grand dame, not a fresh faced ingenue. Children of a Lesser God 3, William Hurt and Marlee Matlin wins the Oscar. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Whoopi's inaugural cinematic performance. Number 4, Soul Man, filmed in part at Mike and I's alma mater of Wheaton College in Norton, Massachusetts, featuring C. Thomas Howell as a man in blackface, is number 5.
Ray Don Chong deserved better.
She certainly did. And after that top 5, it kind of the fascination level kind of drops off. You get Tough Guy starring Burt Lancaster, The Mission, a kind of lesser Robert De Niro. Deadly Friend was kind of interesting. That's a John Carpenter horror movie starring Christy Swanson, where to save her life, a friend implants a computer chip in her brain and she goes crazy. I might check that one out because that sounds kind of great. Trick or Treat, a lost heavy metal movie featuring Gene Simmons and Ozzy Osbourne. And number 10, Round Midnight, a lesser known movie starring Dexter Gordon as Dale Turner. It's kind of like a jazz expatriate film starring Martin Scorsese in a small role.
Very nice. And that's what was happening in 86. Tookie, can you tell us about this week's cold open, please?
I sure can. So, we enter the bar, and it's a short and sweet one again. They're really hitting us with the short bumps this season. So we're into the bar, and Norm's reading the newspaper, and he says, it says here there's been another sighting of the Loch Ness Monster. And is it, I think it was Norm again. It says, looks like President Reagan. Oh, no, it's Woody who says that. Right?
Yep.
Oh, my God. My notes are terrible this week.
No, yeah, Woody points out, Woody says, it looks like President Reagan.
Norm, yeah. And then Norm says, that is President Reagan. That's the monster next to it. And Cliff says, I bet you they'll never catch that thing. And Fraser says, I, for one, hope they never do. Does anyone want to see that poor beast get hauled out of the water and put on display at a sideshow? And Woody's like, I sure do. And people are trying to be like, Woody, no. Like, he's like, we can all drive together. I can pack a lunch. Who wants peanut butter? Who wants jelly? And Norm's like, they're trying to, I'll have one of each. Roll credits. Short, quick.
Yep. My 80s thing of the week, by the way, is no one worrying about peanut allergies. I feel like now, anytime peanut butter is mentioned, people ask. That's an 80s thing. Like, peanut butter was just ubiquitous. And if you died, you died.
I wish we kept that same energy for strawberry. I have a strawberry allergy, which is akin to it's the same reaction, anaphylaxis, just like a peanut butter allergy.
Yep.
And yet, no one cares because it's strawberries.
Yeah, it's prettier. Yep. I'm sorry.
You need better marketing for the strawberry allergies.
I know.
All right. A B story, sort of. It's mostly just the A story, which is a Carla A story this week, which is always fun. And I thought Rhea Perlman did a great job with it. The B story is just sort of always the ongoing B story of season 5, which is Diane just being in love with Sam and Sam pretending he's not in love with Diane. And she's saying, if someone wanted to pick me up at 7:30 tonight, I wouldn't be adverse to that. And this episode, again, I'm back to picking nits. I enjoyed it, and I can't help picking nits with this one. 7:30, who's working the bar? 7:30? You're going out at 7:30 tonight? It made me feel bad for Woody. Woody has to handle everything in this place.
This is undoubtedly what killed Coach.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right?
Like, what the haphazard scheduling. Coach, you mind closing tonight? Can you open up tomorrow? I'm going to be on the Cape for the weekend.
And during the episode that I loved, where Coach was hanging out with Sam and Diane all the time, my God, was Carla just running the bar solo?
I don't know what the hours of operation are at this place. I'm concerned. Should we call the Board of Health?
I know. I know not to delve into the realities of sitcom land too much, but good Lord, 7:30. Like, just say 11. Like a late supper. Give us that. Everything will be slow in here by then. Woody and Carla can handle it on their own. Let's go out to a late dinner. Fine. Great. Wonderful. All right. By the way, as someone who was in a 6-night-a-week show for 7 years, there is not a ton to do in Boston after 11. As someone who attempted to date late night, it's a challenge. Yep.
Those Puritans, man, they set up not so much of a culture of nightlife around here.
It was really hard. It was really hard. One time I briefly dated a woman who was finishing law school when I was in that show. And it was just like, it was impossible to see her. Because she was working and she was in law school and it was all day. And then I was there at night. So like the only time we could date was at 11:07.
What?
Yeah. It was really brutal. It was kind of crazy. Yeah. So it was one of those things where I was like, if we were in New York, we might get married. But we're in Boston. So I think we're better as friends. Yeah. Yeah. It really was one of the only times that scheduling made me go, I don't think this is going to work.
Wow.
I don't think this is going to work. It sounds cold, but once you're in the reality of it and you're actually looking at your schedules and going, I don't know when I'm going to see this person.
I mean, the Puritan ethic. I mean, like, talk about discouraging romantic assignations on every level. Like just creating a culture where people can't see each other after 11:30 is very beneficial to preventing anybody from seeing anybody else unclothed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, back to, because I feel like now we're segueing into a section that I'm not comfortable chatting about. So let's get back to Cheers. We are going through a house shopping episode with Carla. She has saved up some money. She wants a house for her family. She's got so many kids. We've got to find a place to live. Everything's out of her price range. And I just keep looking at her and going, wait until a waitress tries to buy a house in 2022 in the greater Boston area. My God. Cliff comes in. He has gotten a great new newspaper or mail route. It's right by the airport, Meadowview Acres. So if you are actually from the Boston area, you know that East Boston is where the airport is. And no postal worker wants to get assigned to East Boston who does not live in East Boston, because there's nothing harder than getting to East Boston. It was an incredibly poor idea to build the airport there. You have to go underwater to get to this airport. It's really crazy. But it is one of the reasons that for years, East Boston was one of the affordable places to live, which is one thing I did appreciate about the fact that Carla could live there. Yet, somehow this is a house, Meadowview Acres, is this desirable community right by the airport.
Eastie's getting gentrified, though, so there's
now
walk. Yeah.
86. There was no Meadowview Acres in Eastie in 86. It did not exist. It did not happen. There was no like great neighborhood right by the airport that, oh man, would I love to live there. It's so weird but this one house is cheaper. So he tells her about the house. She goes, she buys it the same day. It's amazing. Gonna wait for the loan to close. Norm is apparently the only one who has any research ability, looks into this house and finds out that it was the prison graveyard, the graveyard of a 17th century prison. And all the worst of the worst were buried there. And they're all afraid to tell Carla. And at first she says, oh, phew, I was afraid it was going to be dry rot. And then it turns out she actually is quite scared of spending the night there. Finally, they all get that out of her. And she says, all right, I'm going to go. And Diane talks her into going and spending the night there. With one of my joke of the week line, where she says, if you can spend one night there, God help you, I think you'll have this whole thing lit. Just the delivery of God help you was so good. I really, really loved it. And so Carla's going to spend the night in this house. By the way, I love this little house. I think it's a great house. It's so mid-century modern. It's got such a great retro vibe. I really love this little ranch that she has bought. It's a great little house. She's going to go in there. She's got the cross. She's trying to ward them off. And then Norm and Cliff surprise her. They're going to get her through this night until, Norm has to leave because he has to go and see Vera. Vera asked where he was. And I'm getting the hell out of there. Cliff and Carla have to spend the night there. She is giving him a hard time. He finally asks why. She doesn't actually provide a very good reason for it. And then she somehow makes him feel a little bit better. He talks about how he never danced at the dances, and she's going to teach him how to dance. They have a nice night. They have a nice moment. She thinks the house is now welcoming her. That's when everything starts to shake. There's lights. It's the plane. He realizes it's the plane. He's terrified that she's going to be upset that there's a plane nearby. You're near the airport. Like, it's a revelation that a plane just went by. Oh, it's redirected here. Well, all right, it's redirected. Maybe it doesn't come this close all the time, but you're near the airport. And then he's afraid she's going to get mad. When she realizes that it's the airplane, she shouts, I'm home. Roll credits. It's a weird episode in that there's a lot of stuff I enjoy in it. I think it's well performed. I thought there were good jokes in there. But I nitpicked this one more than I usually do. Just to somehow, and I'm willing to even accept we're playing with the reality of Boston. In this world, Eastie is not Eastie. Okay, fine. But you still don't have fancy neighborhoods by the airport. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. And there isn't one house that somehow gets flown over. when you're by the airport.
I mean, that's physics. You can't fly over a single home
Right.
No.
with a double a double wide jet or whatever Cliff describes it as.
And Cliff says, I've got this new route by the airport.
Yeah.
You know it's by the airport. Airports have airplanes.
My wife grew up in a house very close to the
In
Rhode
Warwick.
Island airport. Yeah,
Yeah.
near TF Green. And there's not 15 or 20 minutes when we would be on the phone that we wouldn't periodically hear a plane go over. And
Ah.
there are no surprises. It's not going to sneak up on you
Nope.
after 8 hours or whatever that you spent in the house.
Nope. And it is one of the things that kept Warwick like a very affordable middle class burb for a very long time.
Mm.
Yep. That and its proximity to Rocky Point.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Point.
Rocky Point.
Okay.
We've talked about Rocky Point on the pod in the past, have we not?
I don't think
I don't
so.
think we have.
It is the amusement park of Rhode Island, or was.
Ah.
It is. Yeah, there's a documentary about it on YouTube that's not fantastic, but
Okay.
it's fun if you grew up with it. So it was this small amusement park that felt big when you were little. But yeah, when you got older and you went there, you're like, wow, this place is tiny. This is small.
I thought you were gonna say it closed down for action park like reasons.
No,
Nothing
It
as
was
cool as
big.
that.
it was fun. And it was right by it had an amazing view. It was by the ocean.
Oh.
So it was, yeah, it started as this like beachfront area, like entertainment area in the 1800s. And it was, they always said it was somehow my whole childhood, it was always on the verge of closing because they were going to build waterfront condos there. And it never happened. It was also a live music venue. Saw Meatloaf there, my very first live concert. And they would get, like, they never got the top acts, but they got acts that used to be the top acts when they were no longer the top acts. That was very much the Rocky Point music tradition.
So mass singer level acts.
Yes. God, rest in peace, Meatloaf. A very, very mixed emotions. Obviously, Meatloaf ended rough. But I'll say this. That man sung his heart out at Rocky Point. He played the hits. He apologized for nothing. He worked the crowd just like an old vaudeville dude. It was rainy that night, and he totally played it right. He's like, they were asking me, hey, Meat, maybe we should cancel tonight. There's a little rain. What do you think, Meatloaf? Should we cancel tonight? And he said, hell no. A little rain gonna mess with Rhode Island's good time. It was such an indie wrestler cutting a promo, working in the name. And we're all like, yeah, Meatloaf, we're here. And he played in the rain, and God bless him, he was great. Good for
No, a
Meatloaf.
beautiful park sits on that real estate.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But just basically open lawn space now, right?
Yeah, open lawn. There's a big like fishing pier, some like little beach area. Great place for the dogs if you like to bring your dogs.
Oh, we might need to. Is it an enclosed area for the dogs?
It's leash only, but it's like a lot of like path, and like Dewey will romp around even on leash in the ocean.
Oh, that's nice. I might need to take May there at some point. That's lovely. All right. Oh yeah, we're talking about a TV show. All right. So let's get through some categories here. I did my joke of the week. Tookie, what's your joke of the week?
The sight gag, which also served as a nice "don't drink and drive" PSA of Norm leaving Carla's new house, where he grabs a beer off the counter and Cliff is like, Norm, you're driving. And he pokes back through the door and begrudgingly leaves the beer, grabs his car keys, and then has a little moment of clarity and says, peeks his hand back to the door, drops his car keys, and takes the beer. So he's going to walk home.
Which begs the question, how does Norm get home?
So many questions about the preparation going. Like, what exactly was Norm and Cliff's plan? Like, they show up with a 6-pack and a pizza.
Well, but they're gonna stay all night. They'll be sober.
Right.
But
I
like,
understood that part of the plan.
bring a pillow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were just like, well, we're gonna sit on her floor, and we'll each have 2 beers.
Mhm.
And Norm is a human being who drinks 100 beers a day, so he's not gonna get even like buzzed.
Yeah.
Like that was my nit, was like, what was the plan driving out to East Boston?
I don't know. I do not know. Dave, your joke of the week.
I thought Shelley Long was amazing this week. Just like delightful every time she popped up. And when Sam was trying to read his little black book to find
Yeah.
a
This is my second runner up. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. He says, "Can you move? You're in my light." And she looks at him and says, "I am your light." And she like wrings every last drop out of it.
It was a great moment. I feel like Shelley is really like, all right, this is my last hurrah. I'm taking time around the bases.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just looks like she's having fun. It's really like it's fun to watch.
It's a woman who does not know that Troop Beverly Hills is right around the corner.
Oh, oh. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean,
80s moment of the week.
I was just gonna say, it's bananas. Like, the most successful film career out of any Cheers actor has to be John Ratzenberger.
What? Oh, I thought you would say Woody.
Oh yeah, Woody's. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Woody. I mean, if you're just talking about like money made that you're somehow attached to, I guess you could say John. But I mean, he's a guest voice in those. It's not, Woody Harrelson became a movie star.
No,
Yeah.
Woody's definitely the
Yeah.
breakout. But none of them. Nobody really has that sort of like. Ted had a quick moment with the Three Men and a Baby franchise, but no real not a lot of staying power for the Cheers cinematic universe.
Woody, wait a minute. Now, again, Woody just had another #1 movie with Venom: Let There Be Carnage, where he was the co-star villain in a giant hit.
Yeah,
That's out now?
I'm saying outside of Woody Harrelson.
Outside of Woody, there you go. There you go. That I have to stand for. I have to stand for Woody there.
No, Woody's had an amazing film career.
Yes. All right, Tookie, your 80s moment.
Did you list yours, Mike?
I did. Mine was. I listed it while it was happening.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Mhm.
And then Dave.
Oh, you want me to knock mine out?
Yeah.
Mine is it's a little bit esoteric, but I think I think I can express it. So they reference Poltergeist,
Right.
in the movie. Poltergeist is at this point 4 years old and is still kind of like in some ways like an evergreen cultural reference. And that's sort of my 80s moment, is the idea that things cultural moments could linger for this long in a way that they just don't now. Like, to make a reference about a film from 2018 would feel impossibly dated, whereas like the Poltergeist reference in this show doesn't feel like they're stretching. Like, Poltergeist is still a part of our sort of like daily conversation in some level.
Cool. All right. Not a ton this week. Any reference to Reagan as current president feels very 80s. Carla describing the house as like Formica everywhere. Formica being a big deal is very much of decades past. The horror trope of a house or any place being built over some sort of sacred burial ground or graveyard of any sort. That's a horror.
That's very.
Yeah. Anchovies on pizza feels like a TV sitcom trope of yore. The look of the house, the whole mid-century modern of it all, and that still being chic, because when my parents bought their house, it definitely had not been updated since the 80s, and we have got Formica, a couple mid-century modern built-ins, and that infamous wood paneling, but it's like vinyl. Yeah, still got that at Casa Kavanaugh. And lastly, when Cliff is or was it Carla who initially? No, it was Cliff. Cliff turned on the radio to listen to some music, and the little radio and a lot of that sax music that was playing initially, not the second song, but the first song, that little saxophone instrumental.
God bless the saxophone. We got to bring it back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in our basement, we didn't have the fake wood, but we had the wood wallpaper.
Oh,
that's nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
It worked.
Wow.
It worked.
Big timers.
All right, Tookie, how white was this week's episode?
All right, going through the numbers. Well, so in the cold open, we have two, with a black man behind Norm on the wall, and then a black man who joins him. In scene one, I will call him spicy and ethnic. An ethnic man who was behind Carla, a black woman and black man who were sitting behind Norm on those tables, a black woman in the upper booth, an Asian woman on the jukebox side of the bar, an Asian woman at the back wall near the office door, and a black man in the hall by the pool. And then in scene two, all of those extras were reused, other than a black man in a white shirt who joins the black man in the gray suit who was in the pool hall previously, and then an Asian woman who is standing next to them. And then in scene three, three of the extras have been reused. And then there's an addition of an Asian woman by the jukebox, a black woman by Sam's office door, and that's it. Yeah. So we've got, okay, if we're not counting reused folks, because scene 4 and 5 at Carla's house, obviously no people of color. So we have got 14.
All right. Well, I guess not a terrible number for
right
where the just 3 regulars are in the house for a long time.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Poor Tookie. I feel like you're starting to be you're hurting a little bit more.
Oh no, it's just, the weather changes and my sinuses tell me to go F myself.
I gotcha. Sinuses.
Yeah.
They're such divas.
I know.
Everything has to be perfect for them.
Ugh.
Every sinus thinks they're Mariah Carey.
My whole respiratory system has a rider for whenever I enter a new season. It has to include a humidifier, a neti pot.
And you have to remove all the brown M&Ms.
Ugh. Terrible.
That was true, right? Van Halen really did require them to do that.
I think so.
Yeah.
It really has it.
That was one of my favorite things. The Smoking Gun used to have, the writers to all the contracts that were insane.
Mariah Carey's writers.
And all the singers would have to come up with a reason why, like, no, we're not terrible. Like, that was just how we made sure that they read the rider. It was great.
Oh, it's a better time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a better time. In a regular season, I think I would be fine with this episode. I'm judging season 5. I feel like season 5 is one of the best seasons. As I'm going through it, as I'm looking at the episodes that we've seen and the episodes that are to come, I think very highly of season 5. So I think this is going to be on the lower end of where we are viewing the season 5 episodes. Not because it's a terrible episode, but it's just not going to meet it's not going to rise to the road that the rest of them do.
I get that. I respect it.
Yeah.
Oh, did we not talk? Are we all in agreement though that essentially the Boston moment of this week is that housing is cheaper next to the airport?
Well, that's every city, I think.
Okay, fair enough.
Always cheaper next to the airport.
Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like I wish they would have said, she's bought a house in Chelsea or something.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's universally true. I mean, if one of our viewers would like to submit some city where someone's going like, you're not going to believe this gorgeous house. I overpaid, but only because it was near the airport. You can't be too close to the airport.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I do love East Boston. I remember, I think I've said this. I almost lived in East Boston once.
Mm-hmm.
Afraid that no one would ever visit me ever again. Like it's such a world unto itself. It's so hard to get to, but that was why it stayed affordable for so long and why it stayed charming for so long. Lots of little mom and pop shops and restaurants still out there. And I don't want to hear about Santarpios. It's overrated. It's weird. There's coal on the bottom of the pizza. It's not good pizza. And I say this as someone who can't even have it anymore. I don't miss it. It got talked up so much. And then I had to do a show in East Boston, and I planned around it. I said, you know what? I'm building in time to go to this place because people have been talking about it so long. And I sat there and I was like, what the fuck is this? Who lied to me? Who lied to me?
You sure you didn't get a bad batch?
No.
Okay.
There was nothing wrong with it because I looked at it. It was like everybody else's. It was weird. It was silly. And then I had it again later, and it was the same.
Oh, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any final thoughts on season 5, episode 5? I'm not even saying the whole name. It's too long. House of Horrors.
It's like a perfectly serviceable Halloween episode, you know?
Yeah. I just want, my, I guess, nitpick, if you will, with this episode is don't play with my emotions if you're going to tease Frasier in the cold open and not have him be part of the episode in full. Yeah,
he was there and just didn't get much to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a little bit of banter with Sam in the beginning where Sam is, so Sam has the date scheduled and then she's making fun of, Diane's making fun of how, not unintelligent this one probably is. Sam cancels the date and then he's looking for someone smart. Frasier, do you have a sister? No. You have a dress? Which is...
I thought his response was genuinely kind of funny.
I thought that was a good line.
Yeah.
What's the occasion? So he was there for that. So you got a little... They're clearly figuring out exactly how to integrate Frasier in there. I'm very excited for the episode where they move in together. That's a great episode. There are 2 episodes. Aside from the finale, I do, which is a great episode. There are 2. The John Cleese episode I'm incredibly excited for, and then when BB New Earth comes back and they have the dinner party. That's a great episode.
Oh yeah, Thanksgiving episode is also great.
Thanksgiving Orphans, yes.
That's going to be in the Carla house. I believe it's the same set, but like you can see that it's Carla's house now.
Is this the one where, like, legend has it, we see Vera for the first time?
Yes, that is the episode. But yeah, she is. You don't see her face. She's there, but you don't see her face. It's great. It's a great episode.
Okay, preparing.
Season 5 has got some classics. Great stuff. All right, anything to plug this week?
Anything to plug? I'm in Worcester tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
And Bill's Bar on Saturday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Big shows.
Where in Worcester are you playing?
It's called Beer Giggles. I didn't name the show.
All right.
It's called Beer Giggles, and it's on Shrewsbury Street at, I think, a brewery.
Okay, I used to work not far off of Shrewsbury Street.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It'll be fun.
All right. Somebody's picking up Tookie and driving her to Worcester.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right. Dave, anything going on?
No, I'm in rehearsal all weekend, so I'll tell you more about it when it gets closer.
All right. Very good. I, of course, have nothing. And on that note, until next week, season 5, episode 6, I'm Mike. That's Tookie. That's Dave. We love you. We will miss you. And we will see you 1 week from tonight. Bye, everybody.